Our guest today is Trey McAlister. He's an executive director with BNI, and he's a networking expert. So thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, Reese.
There's a way to think about who's in your network that's kind of mind-blowing. I think most people don't think of it that way. So if you could talk about who's in, what what networks are and who's in them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons that it may be mind-blowing is that, and I take this a step back because I've been in marketing for over 15 years in one capacity or another, and it has been my experience that most people don't like to market. In fact, I don't know who's listening to this, but most marketers don't even like to market. But most people got into business to do what they wanted to do, not to market. And they know that they inherently know that they can't do it by themselves. So the only way to not do that is to go find other people, which is where that whole networking comes into place. And yet, just like most things in life, if we're focused in a particular arena around a group of people that are more likely to be able to help us, then that makes it a more effective tool. And to be as effective as possible, we do want to be part of multiple networks within reason. My experience has been the most effective networkers are those that have a limited number of networks and use them effectively, because it's, once again, going back to that mutual benefit conversation.
Right.
Because true networking and true ability to refer comes from building relationships with people. And relationships take time, and relationships need to be mutually beneficial. And so if I'm part of 7 different networks, I'm going to be less effective than if I'm focused on being part of 2 or 3. Because I'm going to be able to give more to those people in those 2 or 3 than I'd be able to possibly give to people that are where I'm in 7 or 8 different networks. There are different types of relationships, and one of the things that comes out of it is that you've got a referral network, you've got an informational network, and then you've got a relational network. So they all have certain purposes, and you may have individuals that are in all 3 of them, so those are pretty powerful relationships, and yet you've got to figure out where to spend your time to make it be as effective as possible. Since we're talking to predominantly business people out there,
right,
then it's really a matter of going, what am I looking for? So just to kind of take it to, I try to break it down when I talk to my clients about the fact that, okay, if I'm trying to figure out who can help me, I've got to train them. Well, I can't train them unless I know who it is. And the only way that I'm going to know who can help me, in other words, the professions that can help me, is if I know what type of client that I really want. And the only way for me to really know what type of client I really want is, what's my message? So we have to backtrack, and we obviously don't have enough time to go into all of those details. Right. But that's really when people know truly what their message is in business, then they'll really be able to define their target market. And if they know what their target market client is, then they should be able to either know or get help defining the professions that can most likely bring them that. And you and I were talking a little bit earlier about the whole conversation about contact spheres, which is really just a term based on non-competing professions dealing with the same type of client.
Right.
On a regular basis.
If I'm thinking of, for my business, which is, doing video production, I'm thinking that people like web developers and other marketing professionals are probably good contacts for me.
In general, that would be the case. The only thing that I would hint at and suggest is that, video production could still be a pretty broad profession. There's a lot of aspects to video production. So I would suggest that you go one step back and go, okay, who are your true clients? What's your true target market? And then, because every target market does have a contact sphere, it's just that if we use the video production, there may be 60 professions. Well, now your head starts spinning and going, well, how am I going to network at all these events to find all these different, and that's just if there was only one person in each of those professions.
Right.
Imagine running into 7 people in 60 different professions. Now that's then people start getting way overwhelmed. So the value behind figuring out on focusing on a particular target is that actually gives people a better way to network, because then they reduce the number of potential professions that they would need to initiate or engage. Until you can get down to a target that has 7 units.
Right.
And you might go, well, yeah, I can work with all that, but I need more than that. Okay, then we back it out a little bit more. So I now consider it a fun game. It can be frustrating because I had to play the same game, and it is frustrating for people to try to define it smaller and smaller. But that's the objective, is to get it to where it's not enough business for them, so that then we back it out a level and go, okay, there's 50 companies, and if I could have all of that, that'd be more business than I could possibly handle. I mean, it's abundance versus scarcity. The most successful networkers that I've come across, or the most successful people that do well referring, are those that have an abundant thinking. In other words, they don't fight as hard. They still fight, but they don't fight as hard on shrinking that target market, because they know there's plenty of business even in that smaller target, as opposed to, well, I need to ask for all of this because I don't know where business is going to come from.